Hey everyone, it's Laura Dopkins. This tutorial is going to be on custom taxonomy, writing a wrapper class for WordPress's register taxonomy function. If you watched my last tutorial on writing a custom post wrapper class, this is going to be very similar. So if you just want to grab the code, you can go ahead and do that. It's at gist.github.com/dabilu, and then just go ahead and click on custom taxonomy. As before, I've just set up a really simple demo theme and activated it in a WordPress installation locally. So if you're not familiar with the register taxonomy function, you can find it in the WordPress codex. The function takes three parameters: the taxonomy, the object type, and the arguments, and they're explained below here. So you provide a name for the taxonomy, and it needs to be in slug format. You drop in which object types that this taxonomy supports. The built-in types are post, page, attachment, revision, but you can also have custom types that you're supporting with your taxonomy. And then the arguments array, and the arguments array is very long and has a lot of different keys that you can set, and we'll be setting defaults in our wrapper class. So let's get to the code. Alright, this is our custom post class, so we're just going to copy the namespace and everything and go ahead and create our custom taxonomy class. So I've just created a file named custom taxonomy. We can go ahead and paste in our namespace just to keep it consistent with our custom post tutorial class. So let's go ahead and rename it to taxonomy. This class has two properties: the text domain, which we are going to initialize in our constructor, and the taxonomies array, which we will populate with a function called make. The taxonomies array is going to hold all of the taxonomies we want to create in our theme, and it'll register them when WordPress calls its init action. So let's get those properties defined. Next, we're going to define the constructor function where we'll initialize the starting values for these properties. Remember, we're going to drop in the text domain when we instantiate this class. That way we can go ahead and initialize it right away. And we'll initialize our taxonomies property to an empty array. And then the next thing we'll do in the constructor is we're going to add an action on the init hook, and we want WordPress to call our register taxonomy method. So this is the way that we tell WordPress that we want it to call a method on our instance. We drop in an array and we drop in a reference to this object. Okay, so next we need to write the function or the method that WordPress is going to call. So let's write our register taxonomy method. And in this method, we're going to loop over all of our taxonomies in the taxonomies array, and we're going to call WordPress's register taxonomy function. The key of our taxonomies array is going to be the type of taxonomy, and then we're going to hold data about that taxonomy in the value. So we'll need access to both of those in our for loop. Next, we call WordPress's register taxonomy function. And remember from looking at the codex that the first parameter is the type of taxonomy or the slug formatted name of the taxonomy. So we've stored that as the key of our array. So we'll just drop that in. Next, we'll be providing which post types are supported, and we'll go ahead and set that in the value with a key of post types. Now this can be either an array of different post types or a string for one post type. And then finally, all the arguments in that long laundry list of arguments or settings are going to be dropped in using a key of args from our taxonomies array. So that should do it for our register taxonomy method. The next method we're going to write is the make method, where we populate the taxonomy array for this class. And the first parameter that this function is going to take is the type. The second is going to be the singular label. And the third is going to be the plural label. Then we'll want to drop in the post types that we're going to be supporting and any settings that we want to override in the method. So typically I work with some default settings, so I'm just going to drop that long list in, that long array in for you, but it has the labels defined, and the label settings are created using the singular and the plural label arguments. The default we're going to set to true, and we're going to rewrite the slug using the plural label and WordPress's sanitized title with dashes to keep it safe for the URL. So next, we are going to populate our taxonomies array in the format that we need to use in register taxonomies. So let's go ahead and do that. So remember, we're storing each taxonomy that we want to register by the key or the type. So we'll provide that as our key, and then within that we're going to have a nested array with a key of post types. And we're just going to initialize that to the types that are dropped in the make methods arguments. The other value that we need to provide is the settings. So let's go ahead and use PHP's array merge function to override the default settings that we've provided. And we'll store that in the args key. So here we go, overriding our default settings with whatever this particular instance is requiring. So that should do it for writing our taxonomy class. Let's go ahead and show you how you can utilize this in functions.php. So here we are in functions.php, and I'm just going to copy what we've got coming in here with our custom post wrapper class, and I'm just going to rename it to taxonomy. So what we're doing here is loading in our class using WordPress's load template function. And then next we're going to create an instance of our custom taxonomy class so that we can use it within our theme. I'm just going to copy the domain and just rename our instance or our class. So we're dropping in the text domain. It's going to be the same throughout the theme. And then we've created here, with using our custom post class, we've created a project type post. So that would be the non-standard post type. It's custom. So let's go ahead and create a taxonomy for our projects. Calling our make method, let's call our taxonomy project type. And this will be basically categorizing our different projects by the type of project they are. The second argument that this method takes is the singular label, so let's call that project types. And this is just a label that's going to display in the admin backend. And the plural label, guess we should make this one singular. And the next value we provide is which post types we want this custom taxonomy to be available for. So let's make this available on our project post type. And remember, there was a fifth argument that you could provide if you want to override any of the default settings that our class is using. So now that we have our custom taxonomy made, let's go ahead and check out our theme and see if we're populating. Looks like we have an error, so let's go back to line 15 and see what we did wrong. And we forgot a semicolon. So let's check this out again. Alright, so we go to projects, and there we have our project types as a taxonomy. So we can go ahead and classify all our projects by type. Just to demonstrate that you can add this taxonomy to the post as well, you would just add another type, whether it is a native WordPress type or a custom type, and you will have that taxonomy available for that post type. So I hope this was helpful, and I appreciate any feedback that you have, and take care. I'll see you next time.